Good afternoon. Let me get started here. I'd like to have Mr. Ober up here with me, as everyone knows, and I want to thank him. And today we announced the conclusion of an operation we've coined Operation Hydro Hustlers, and it was a statewide investigation into criminal organizations that were running grow house domestic marijuana operations. We've been investigating this group of individuals since March of 2015. The subjects charged today have, and that we are still looking for, they have been charged regarding harvesting marijuana in the grow houses all around Hillsborough and into other counties, including Citrus, Hernando, Pasco, Polk, and Suwannee counties. And I'd like to thank the sheriff's offices in those counties for their assistance over the past couple of days. We've been aware of the potential of the grow house operations within our county, and we've taken enforcement action against them. But we began to notice violent trends in crime involving these houses over the past couple of years, and these offenses have ranged from murders to home invasions and many other crimes that we probably are not aware of because the people that are involved, being involved in illegal operations, do not normally report them to law enforcement. Most concerning is that these houses are in regular neighborhoods where we all live. And you may not realize it, but this could be happening right next door to you, potentially endangering you and your family. Some of the houses that were involved in this operation, at least one that was used as a head of the operation, was right next door to a school and a daycare center. And most of the violent crimes involved in these type of operations do result from these people trying to rob each other, steal their dope, and steal their money, etc. But it certainly spills over to the hardworking citizens who are trying to build their lives in these neighborhoods, who work hard for their homes, and they certainly take away from not only the value of the homes, but also from the peace of mind of the people who live there. As I said earlier, our detectives have been investigating these individuals since March of last year, and they've conducted countless hours of surveillance, investigated tips received from the public. They've reviewed financial records and executed numerous search warrants, and also using other techniques that are generally associated with the investigation of RICO cases. As a result of their efforts, we have identified an organized Cuban group led by one Hector Alvarez, and also consisting of individuals who are renting these houses, installing various electrical equipment, and cultivating the plants. And consequently, since early Tuesday morning, deputies began to serve search warrants around the Tampa Bay area and the adjoining counties. As a result, there were 15 search warrants, 22 knock and talk investigations. There were 591 marijuana plants, over 800 pounds recovered in live plants, also over 20 kilos of marijuana packaged, total street value exceeding $2.3 million, and that's at a price per pound of about $2,500 for the hydroponic grow. 22 individuals have been arrested. There are still 5 outstanding warrants for subjects. 3 fled to Cuba over Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. We have seized over $126,000 in cash. 21 cars have been seized, 2 trailers, and 1 boat. And all of the individuals are being charged with RICO or conspiracy to RICO, which falls under the Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organization Act. And I'll let Mr. Ober speak a little more about that in a few minutes. Additional charges include manufacturing cannabis, trafficking in cannabis, possession of drug paraphernalia, and grand theft. And the individuals involved have various criminal histories to include aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, trafficking in marijuana, robbery, and aggravated battery. It's very important, this being a timely subject right now, to note this is not the marijuana of yesteryear. The levels of the THC in this marijuana, especially the hydroponically grown marijuana, is very, very high, and that's evidenced by the price per pound. This has a street value between $2,000 and $2,500 a pound. It can even exceed that compared to the normal marijuana that's probably $700 to $1,000 a pound. So you can do the math and see the attraction to the business, and there's a tremendous amount of dirty money to be made in this business. Just so you understand a little bit about how the operations are run, the houses are often rented by individuals at the direction of a particular drug trafficking leader. These individuals are directed to place rental agreements and utilities in their name. They are given money to cover the monthly bills and are given a portion of the proceeds after a harvest of marijuana. These residences often have new or rebuilt privacy fences, no trespassing signs, windows with blinds drawn, landscaping lacking regular maintenance, and multiple air conditioning units, which are often concealed with objects such as mattresses, box springs, chicken coops, and a variety of different types of privacy fences. And there's a lot more I could say, or some of the people that work closer to it, things that average citizens should look at if they're thinking they may have an operation in their neighborhood. The cost to set up one of these homes is generally in the range between $15,000 and $20,000 of cash to get it up and going. That includes the sodium lights, electrical boards, ballast, the CO2 tanks, air conditioners, high-grade potting soil, etc. To get these things going. Most of these things are often paid for with fraudulent credit cards. So you can see this is not only just about the drug trafficking, but it goes into so many other things. And we know we've recovered stolen credit cards, etc. As well. And so they're not always using their own money. Anyway, the other thing that I think is important is to consider what this does to our neighborhoods and to our quality of life in general, and the amount of violence that we're starting to see. Crime is creeping back up, and certainly the drug trade has always been at the core of violent crime in the United States in modern times. And I'm going to stop there and I'm going to let Mr. Ober speak a minute, and I will tell you we have printouts with all the statistical information that I gave you as far as the number of arrests and amount of proceeds that are seized, where the vehicles are outside, so you can get some video or photographs of those. But with that, let Mr. Ober speak a little bit about the importance of the racketeering statute and how effectively we've been able to use that in this case.
Thank you, Sheriff. Good afternoon. These individuals have committed a serious crime. They have committed racketeering, which by definition is a well-defined criminal organization. It was very well set up, and the law, with the predicate acts of a racketeering, require, based on the facts of each case, a penalty. It's a first-degree felony. The maximum penalty on these particular cases is 30 years. There's a mandatory minimum on many of them. As we progress through the process, we will see if any of these individuals qualify again for enhanced penalties. But this is a very, very defined criminal enterprise. So we will proceed into the courtroom. We have started that process with bonds on some of these bond hearings, and we will evaluate each case as we do on a case-by-case basis. But we feel that the cases are very strong, and our communities cannot tolerate this type of criminal behavior, and we will not tolerate this type of criminal behavior. So to all those that are involved, we will see you in the courtroom, and we will let the process play out on each case individually. So I thank you for being here this afternoon.
I just want to thank the deputies and agents who were involved in this and did a great job with some of the places we were able to get into. That doesn't happen easily. It's dangerous work. These are, for the most part, very dangerous people. One of them has only been in the country, for probably in the last 40 days, came straight from Cuba and involved in this operation. So I want to thank the men and women who took this task on and worked literally undercover to make these cases, make our neighborhoods safe. With that, if any of us can answer any question, I have Colonel Lazinski, I have Captain Osat, I have Mark Ober, and we have Daryl Dirks up here, and of course some of the other prosecutors are out here in the audience that are doing these cases as well. So I'll take any questions that we can answer.
The ones that went to that got to Cuba, are you really going to work to try to get them back, and is there a chance of even getting them back?
Well, I guess since relations are normalized, I guess it'd be easy, right? I don't know. We'll pursue the UFAP like we always do. We'll see what happens with that, and we'll do it. Of course, they may already be coming back under another name, and we don't know. That's that's very difficult and a very fluid situation. But yes, we will do everything we can to make sure we know exactly who they are and do what we can to get them back.
Can you talk about how this investigation started, and did you realize it was as big as it was when you guys started investigating a year ago?
Now, we started just noticing different things. Intelligence picked up different things. We're looking at some of the purchases and different things, and there was one hydroponic shop in Lakeland that we had our eyes on that was involved, that was really supplying all these counties around Central Florida. So all the pieces started fitting together. And the investigators started noticing that this was bigger than what we thought, and obviously as we started gaining some cooperation in that case, and we went into other forms of surveillance, we realized this was not just these are not single residences. This was an operation that had been brought up here from Miami to run it, which is typical of what we've seen in the past, but this was a pretty large one. And it's larger than this, I'm sure, than what we have, but this is the part that was tangible that we were able to get into. But yeah, there were a lot of pieces that started to come together. It's taken a year, a lot of work, a lot of prosecutors, a lot of time doing this thing, a lot of working with the courts to get the warrants and everything else and the orders that needed to take place.
And was the product staying locally? Were they distributing this stuff locally, or?
Not necessarily. It goes, the price may have gone up to, we'll see how effective we are locally. If we see the price go up to $3,000 a pound tomorrow, I was talking to one of the investigators earlier, we'll know how much effect we had locally, but I'm sure a lot of it was, but not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's a wide distribution network.
Can you go into more detail about the ringleader, who that person is?
I'll let Colonel Lazinski talk about him. It's Mr. Alvarez. We don't know a great deal about him. We're still learning who he is and what his background is. He has some prior arrests. I think now that we can only do so much to the point we start making arrests, and we've made that arrest right now, and we'll start looking at him and seeing what his background was. But certainly we know he's up from Miami. He's been living here. He was operating out of a house over in the Carrollwood area, right next to a day school and a church, and was running the operation out of there. So other than that, it's probably about all I can say about him right now.
Any concern that these guys may bond out and flee the area?
Well, absolutely. That's always, anytime you have drug offenses, and there's a lot of money out there, and that's certainly a possibility. I think, Mr. Ober and his staff will be working towards making that argument in court.
Were these people in any particular area of the county, or was it just the Carrollwood area?
It was all around the county, Valrico, Carrollwood. It was all around, which is typical of an organization. They come and they get houses. They rent them. There's a lot of investment property in Hillsborough County, and it's renting isn't what it used to be, where you knew who your renters were. There are a lot of companies that are renting. They don't know. We depend on the public, and that, you asked me earlier, some of those tips from the public started fitting together. People are starting to get wise to these operations. Pretty sophisticated. You see the circuit, it's like a pole that Tampa Electric would use. That's to throw the circuit breaker so they can actually hook up. They tap into electricity, which is one of the byproducts of these operations. They run a tap, get into electricity from a neighbor because they don't want to draw too much attention to themselves. These things take a lot. The power factor is very high, so you'll see them actually use the pole, flip the breaker, turn the transformer off, run their wires, and run it straight in, bury it. And we've seen all kinds of things used to support these operations.
Any evidence they were growing anything other than marijuana?
Marijuana is what we found, and I mean there's certainly potential for other things to be involved. But what they were growing was high-grade hydroponic marijuana. That was their cash crop. No chia pets or anything like that. Just marijuana. Yeah.
Any other drug-related
Spice?
I don't know if there were any other drug. I believe it's all revolving cannabis. I think that was their operation. They were manufacturing and distributing cannabis. There's so much money in this that, you know, it's incredible how big these operations are, especially in a place like Florida.
Approximately how many grow houses were identified?
I think we had 10 grow houses. We served search warrants at more locations than that. I think we served search warrants at about 15 locations around Florida. Again, these are not all in Hillsborough. They're in other counties, and again, I want to thank the other people, but you know, it primarily the operation was run out of here.
Sheriff, if I may, too, and Chip, I'm going to let Darrell Dirks talk about the bond issue, because this tells us how serious we are about it, and he's been in court with members of my staff on many of these people over the last several days. So I'm going to defer to Mr. Dirks, the head of my narcotics division, so he can just talk to you about some special rules that apply during these bond hearings, which help us make certain that they stay
Well, I
in
know
custody.
sometimes you guys do Nebia hearings.
And that's where I'm going with that.
That's right,
question,
Trip.
so.
That's exactly right. The last couple of mornings, we've had a lot of time we've had with Judge Conrad at first presentation court. We've presented some of the evidence to him and explained the organization to him. He has saw fit to set substantial bonds in the neighborhood of $200, maybe up to $500,000 bonds. And as you suggest, he's in every case he's had a Nebia hold. For you, those of you that don't know, Nebia is a term that we use in the criminal justice system, which indicates that before someone can bond out, they have to demonstrate that the funds or the property or whatever they're using to bond out comes from legitimate and not illegitimate sources. So Judge Conrad has ordered that in every one of those cases along with the bond, and he's also ordered that the alleged co-defendants not have any contact with each other while they're on bond. So we've had some excellent cooperation from the judiciary. There was the judiciary had to get involved in helping us in many of the orders that were involved in the investigation. So we've had judges that have worked overtime and on weekends to help us in this investigation. So we appreciate all the cooperation for everyone in the criminal justice system. And while I'm here, I'll say that the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office has put together a tremendous investigation. There's a lot of the members in the audience now that have done a lot of work, and I mean put in months and months of hard work and effort in organizing this case. And as has been mentioned, this is as racketeering cases go, a lot of times with racketeering cases, you kind of have to piece together who the members of the organization are. This is an identified organization where the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office has identified the leader, has identified the individuals who were involved with the tender. There were the tenders at the various locations. They've identified the electrician who was charged with the responsibility of going around and maintaining and installing the intricate wiring to meet the extraordinary electrical needs at these grow houses. So the arrests and the affidavits indicate a well-organized group which resulted in the racketeering and the racketeering conspiracy charges.
If you don't have anything else, we're concluded, and we'll be glad to have somebody up here to explain any of the material we have up here, any of the evidence. Thank you.